Hi, thanks for watching my video. Today I want to show you how to do a single crochet. It's the most basic stitch in crochet and you'll need to know it to do just about anything. I've seen a lot of people on other tutorials that were still really confused by the end of it, and so I want to just go really slow and explain everything so that I give you the best chance to understand it. You'll of course need yarn and a hook. I recommend starting with a really thick yarn. That way the stitches are easy to see and also a nice bright color. Black and even white also can be really tough to see, so starting with a nice vibrant color or even a yarn that shifts through lots of colors would be a really good place to start. So first I'm going to have the tail of the yarn in my hand, and we're starting with a slip knot. So the way I make a slip knot is crossing the tail of the yarn over the working yarn like this, and then passing the tail underneath that loop I just made so you can see it like this. And then I take the hook and I pick up the tail through the loop, and then I pull it tight around the hook. So I'll do that one more time. I have the tail on the left. I cross it over the working yarn like so. I pass the loop under the loop I just made, and I pick up the tail through the loop and pull it tight. Now to do a chain, I have the working yarn looped over my finger, and I hold the tail in my thumb and middle finger. And so this is called a yarn over, where you pass the yarn over your crochet hook, usually from right to left. Of course, it'll be backwards if you're left-handed, and pull it through the loop on your hook, and that's a chain. So you'll pass it over your hook and through the loop, and you've made another chain. And you just keep doing that until you have as many chains as you need. We're going to do 11. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And something else to keep in mind also is that if you're having a lot of trouble getting your hook through the loop, so if your hook is too big to go through or you can't pull it over, then you're probably holding your yarn too tight. You can help this by using a different hook size, or because tension is really tough to get at the beginning. But just holding it so that's loose. You can even try to do really, really loose on purpose just until you get it right. And so I'll have one really loose stitch there, so I'll just tighten that up so that you can see better what's going on. But yeah, so if you're having a really hard time getting your hook through, it just means that you're holding it too tight and you might need to change your hook size. You can experiment with different sizes to find something that's comfortable. Sometimes a bigger hook is easier, sometimes a smaller hook is easier. It just depends on whether you're struggling to keep it too tight or if it's too loose. So here I have 11 chains, and we'll flip. So to do our first row, we're going to go into the back of the chains. So if it's tough to see the back of the chains, you can also go into the side. But to keep the row nice and neat, I like to go into the back. So you'll go into the chain, the second chain from the hook. So if we flip it all the way over, we see there's this chain here, and there's this chain here. So we're going to go into that one right there. So this little bump on the back, we'll just kind of wiggle our crochet hook into it. And then we'll do the same thing we did for the chains. We'll do a yarn over, crossing the yarn over the hook, through the loop, and then we'll have these 2 loops on our hook. And then we'll just repeat it again. Yarn over the hook and through both loops this time. And you've made your first single crochet. And we'll just do that one more time. So seeing in the back of these chains, this little loop right here, this little bump in the back, we're going to put our hook through the bump yarning over our hook through the loop, 2 loops on our hook now, yarn over the hook and through 1, 2 loops, and you have another single crochet. And like I said before, if it's tough to see that one bump in the middle, then you can just go into the side here. I'll just put our hook through that loop. Focus, please. Thank you. Yarn over through the loop. Yarn over through 1, 2 loops. And we'll do a couple more like that, where we're going into the side of the chain. Yarn over. We'll do one more like that, and we'll do the rest in the back of the chain. Like normal. So now my yarn's changing color so you can see really well what's happening. So here's the back loop of the next stitch. It's pretty tight because my last stitch was in the side. So I'll have to just pull it apart. There. Yarn goes over the hook and down through the loop, over the hook, and through 2 loops. And we'll just do that through the rest of our chains. All right, now that you've made it to the end of the row, you might notice if you count that we have 1 fewer stitch than chains we made. So we made 11 chains, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. That's because every row starts with a chain that just kind of goes off to the side, and that's so that the stitches don't scrunch together to help spread them out to make this way you're making flat. So when we made 11 chain stitches, the 11th stitch became the side of this first row, and that's why we put the first single crochet in the second chain from the hook and not the first. You can also see when you look at the bottom the difference that it makes where you put your single crochets. So this side on the bottom, you have these kind of mirrors what the top looks like, and that's where we put the single crochets into the back loop. And then in these couple of stitches, they're kind of tilted, and the bottom looks a bit twisted rather than flat like the top of the stitches. And that's fine. A lot of people do it that way. I just wanted to show you the difference in how it looks on where you put that first row of stitches. All right, so now we're going to do a second row. And so when you get to the end of a row, you'll want to make another chain. So yarning over and pulling through that 1 loop on your hook. And then you'll turn your work so that you're looking at the back now. And then to put your stitches in, you want to take these 2 loops at the top. And if your stitches are big enough, you can kind of see a little hole underneath them. So you'll want to put your hook through that hole underneath those 2 loops at the top of the stitch. Yarn over your hook, back through the hole, yarn over through the 2 loops. And you've got another single crochet. And you'll just repeat that through your row. So you find the hole under the 2 loops, you put your hook through the hole, yarn over, pull that through the hole, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And you'll just keep doing that through your row. See, here's the hole, here's the 2 loops, hook through the hole, under the 2 loops, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, and pull through the 2 loops. And we'll just keep doing that through the rest of the row. Now this last stitch here at the end of your first row can be kind of tough to see because the chain kind of pulls down into a weird corner. But so it should look something like this. It'll be kind of angled down compared to the rest of the stitches, but it works the same way. If it helps, you can kind of tug on it a little to really find where the hole is, and just kind of stick your hook, shove it in there. It might be a little bit tighter than the rest. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, just like the rest of the row. And then once you've got it in there, you can see it really well. And the process is the same for every other row. So I'll do a few more rows and then show you how to end off your work. All right, so I've got 4 rows now, and you can really see the pattern starting to come out. And it looks pretty good. So yeah, to end, all you have to do is make one final chain stitch, yarn over and through the loop, leave a little bit of tail. You take some scissors and just trim just enough so that you pull the tail through, pull it really tight, and then leave enough so that you can take an embroidery needle and work the tail in, and do that on both ends. And then you have some nice single crochets. Some other pointers that I wish I had known when I first started is that tension makes a lot more difference than you think, and it's really tough to master. So if it's not going to look, your first attempt may not look very much like this, and that's totally fine. As long as you understand the motion to get the yarn through the hook, then you're set. Also, if you've got it and you're like, yes, I know how to do a single crochet now. Great, I'm super happy. The next thing I would recommend that you do is to just make as big of a rectangle as you can tolerate. So I have my first things that I ever single crocheted. This is the first one that I ever did, and it was very tight. You can see how much less stretchy it is than this. And this was my second attempt. Much better on the tension. And I kept making squares in single crochets just until I could do a single crochet in my sleep. I don't know what happened there. That was a little bit of a goof. But yeah, it takes practice, and you gotta practice. So the next thing you do right now is to just I would recommend just sit down and practice the single crochet for a while until you've really got it. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching.